Welcome to Healthy Corner with Melissa Roches, where we discuss a healthy lifestyle through exercise, a healthy lifestyle through diet, through meditation and wellness. Healthy Corner.
Biti Binafi. Mabriga, this is Garivision Indigenous Network. We have a special show set for today. But before we begin this segment, Butena Nishigo Sereme Hon wa Yunago, Luago wa Dagman, the Rebe Lehadago by Won, Lu La Wiwando, the Rasa Garifuna. I would like to give thanks and blessings to all our ancestors for the difficult work they have done for us to remain who we are as Garifuna. Today, over 229 years ago, our Garifuna ancestors would have been arriving on the island of Roatan, our second exile. And they endured so much for us to be Garifuna, for us to have our identity as a indigenous people. And I am so proud of the work that they have done. I'm so proud of every Garifuna organizations for the work they are doing for us to remain Garifuna, for us to remain indigenous. So I'm very proud of every organization. I'm very proud of every person who are doing their part to maintaining our beautiful Garifuna heritage, our spirituality, our language, our dances. So kudos to everyone who is doing their part for us to remain Garifuna. A few months ago, we started a new segment on the Garivision Indigenous Network called The Healthy Corner with Melissa Roches. And it was liked by many of our viewers. So we've decided that we will do a Healthy Corner every Saturday morning at 10 o'clock, Eastern Time, which is going to be 8 o'clock in the morning, Belize time, which is going to be 7 a.m. in the morning, Los Angeles time or Central time. So every Saturday, starting today, look out for Healthy Corner with Melissa Roches, where she's going to be talking about health and wellness within the Garifuna community, within the Garifuna diaspora, because it's needed in our communities. We need to address the health issues in our communities. So starting this Saturday, again at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, 8 a.m. Pacific Time. 7 a.m. Pacific Time, 8 a.m. Central Time. Every Saturday, make sure you set your tune, your messenger, your Facebook, your YouTube tune to Garivision Indigenous Network for the Healthy Corner. Now today's show is going to be really, really informative. So stay tuned for Melissa Roches as she begins her first segment right here on Garivision Indigenous Network, the Healthy Corner. So stay tuned. Sereme.
All right, Booty Binafi, everyone. Thank you all for watching today's live. I am Melissa Roches. a little nervous because if you know me, I'm one of those people that don't really like to draw attention to myself. I tend to do a lot of things behind the scenes, in support of the community. But I felt this was important. It's been well received, but I felt it was important to continue on this journey to educate not only Garifuna people, but African Americans in the diaspora as well. Speaking specifically to the diaspora, those in the Caribbean, or some of us in the Caribbean who may not have implemented a healthy diet. In the Caribbean, we are surrounded by herbs, a lot of natural food, fruits, vegetables, but we have moved away from that a little bit. With the food that is provided in the grocery stores, that's already packed and packaged for us to consume. However, those foods, those options have been stripped of a lot of the healthy ingredients, specifically speaking fiber and potassium, which are two of the minerals that our body need. And without fiber and potassium, just speaking to those two, it has caused a lot of dis-ease. Also, sugar. A lot of the food on the shelves contains a lot of sugar. And some of those sugars I've talked about on previous shows are corn syrup, high fructose corn syrup, maltodextrin. If you look in the back of anything that you buy from the grocery store, if you start reading the labels, anything sweet, you will see those three ingredients. At least one of those three ingredients, all three, or maybe two of three. Maltodextrin is a synthetic sugar. So it spikes your sugar level and your taste buds to make you want more. So all of this is by design. We've been consuming these foods and it's been detrimental to our health. So the purpose of this show is to highlight some of these ingredients, also talk about the natural ingredients that we all have at farmers market and in the grocery store that we need to get back to, incorporating more healthy lifestyle, diet, nutritional changes, health and wellness space with regards to walking regularly. We'll get into that. Hydration, which is also very, very important. Our body is 70% water. So we need to get back to hydration, not just water, but coconut water, which has electrolytes and is very, very good for you. Walking, as I said, running is also good for you as well. There's recreational running, or you do a walk, which is a walk and jog mix, speed walking. All of these things will help us with our sugar level, believe it or not. So the purpose of this show is to educate our audience, and we hope that you share the live with other people as well, people within your on Facebook. And also I'm looking for guests to also join the show, and we can have conversations on different topics about health and wellness. But also we will expand the show as well to include other topics that are affecting women, children, and the overall community. So this is an opportunity to create a safe space where women can now be fully engaged and part of the conversation, which I believe we need. And hopefully this is a start. There are a lot of women that are already engaged in the community who have taken up other topics, and this is an opportunity, hopefully, for us to work together to see our communities thrive with all of these different options that's being presented or available on Facebook that we are now being exposed to. So with that, we will begin today's segment. So today's segment was actually introduced on Thursday. However, there was some audio issues. So a portion of what was presented on Thursday on the Garivision show, excuse me, you could not hear the audio. So this is a replay of what was the topic from this past Thursday. And as part of this topic, Erica Castillo Slayton will be joining us as our first guest. And then again, next week, we will hopefully have another guest that will talk about their experiences or just engage as part of the conversation. So if you know anyone, it could be a nurse, it could be a doctor, someone in holistic medicine, nutritionist, or even talk about something that you are doing that can, help support someone in the community, children, young adults, just bring new exposure to them. Please reach out. Feel free to reach out to me directly. I would love to have you as a guest on our show. So with that, we will begin the show talking about insulin resistance, which was the topic for Thursday's show. So insulin resistance. One second. Pause, please. All right. So what is insulin resistance? So insulin resistance is the key, right? It is called, quote unquote, a key, right? And the importance of insulin resistance is to help to control our sugar level, right? So insulin is a hormone. So we have hormones all over our body, and the insulin is there to help us manage our hormones. So as you can see, insulin resistance, hold on. Is your muscle and liver cells don't respond well to insulin. So when that happens, your sugar level, your sugar then goes into your bloodstream, and that causes a lot of dis-ease in your body, starting with prediabetes, type 1, type 2, and then type 3 diabetes. So in the segment on Thursday, I asked if anyone knows what type 3 diabetes is. Type 3 diabetes is actually dementia. So we have sugar that goes all the way up to our brain. So if you consume too much sugar, eventually that will potentially, be one of the symptoms or causes of dementia. So insulin resistance, again, is the hormone, and that hormone then drives the disease of prediabetes. That's if you have too much insulin. If you start having too much insulin, you have prediabetes, then you have type 1, type 2, and can potentially lead to type 3. So think of insulin this way. You have a vase, or maybe even this water bottle, right? You have this water bottle. You're refilling this water bottle, right, with water, but let's say it's sugar. So you're eating a lot of food, and you've now consumed sugar all the way to the top. However, you're not doing anything to bring that sugar level back down. So we all have a threshold on what our sugar level should be, but we overconsume food that either breaks down to starch, which is sugar, or we consume too much sugar. So if we're not exercising, if we're not going out for a walk, if we're not eating at certain times, or just continuously eating and not giving our digestive system a break, then the sugar will overflow, right? You'll continue to eat sugar after sugar after sugar, and the sugar can no longer go, in this case, in this bottle. So that sugar then overflows and has nowhere to go but your bloodstream. So that is what leads to the dis-ease. So we're going to talk about insulin, how videos that walk us through insulin. We'll talk about fasting, how fasting is one of the alternative solutions to help to control the blood sugar level. We'll also introduce some food that you can find at your grocery store today, and we'll also give you some alternative ingredients. White flour is actually has been stripped of almost all its vitamins and all of its minerals. It's been stripped of fiber. It's been stripped of potassium. So all it does is it breaks down to starch, and it becomes insulin, right? And then again, as we continue to consume white flour every single time we make bread, that can lead to diabetes. So I'll introduce a couple of alternatives that I have used, or just speak about a few that you can find in your grocery store. And then again, there are a lot of fruits as well that helps to control your blood sugar level. And there are herbs as well, but we'll get into herbs on another topic. So with that, we'll move on to the next segment. So before we do that, just one other quick note that one major cause, as it says, is that fat clogging your muscles and liver cells, right? So your liver can also be overloaded with sugar. When your liver gets overloaded with sugar, it also causes like acne and skin issues. That's your body's trigger, right? Your body's symptom that's telling you, hey, guess what? You've overloaded my system, and we need to figure out what the issue is. So if you get acne, eczema, psoriasis, pimples, that is probably your liver being overloaded, and it's probably a good time for you to consider doing a liver detox or a liver cleanse. If you're from the Caribbean, you've heard of senna. Senna is one of those herbs that you can use to do a liver cleanse. And actually, we should be doing liver cleanse on probably on a regular basis to keep our liver healthy. But again, we'll come back to that. Just one quick disclaimer before we jump into the program. So the purpose of this program, right, is to help to support the people in our community. However, I am not a doctor. We are not in a medical field. Therefore, we do not diagnose illnesses or suggest pharmaceuticals. We are not nutritional consultants. I am simply making suggestion related to nutrition only. So none of the information offered here is intended to replace any program that your medical doctor has prescribed for you. Please research all herbs if you decide to take herbs and take certain foods before consuming to make sure that they do not conflict with any pharmaceutical medication you may be taking. So again, this is for informational purposes. Please do your research, consult with your doctor. But this is to just highlight things that I have seen and we have all seen in the community, and we need to get back to a healthy state. All right, so with that, we'll kick off the first video, and then we'll introduce Miss Erica Antoinette Castillo-Slayton, who will be joining us in today's conversation about insulin. And please comment in the show. We'll be happy to see any comments that you have and see how we can answer them or point you in the right direction. Or if we do not have the answer, I'm
going to teach you about a disease that your doctor will never tell you about. In fact, they don't even test for it. And they can, but they don't. Because there's a drug for every single one of these symptoms right here that are related to the disease, but none of it addresses the root cause. So let's go through the symptoms, what it is, and how you can control it. So here's the symptoms. Do you frequently feel hungry? You have cravings for sugar. You get tired, especially after meals. You struggle losing weight, especially the belly fat. You may be noticing skin tags or dark pigmentation on your eyes and your neck. You can't focus, you don't feel motivated, you may even feel chronic fatigue. Your blood pressure is high, and you may even have high triglycerides. For men, you're noticing erectile dysfunction, and for women, your cycles aren't regular anymore. And you get migraines, headaches, and brain fog. These are all signs of hyperinsulinemia, where the amount of insulin in your blood is higher than what's considered normal. But it's not diabetes, because insulin's a hormone, and it's your master hormone. So once that goes higher, it starts to screw up your other hormones. And for all these symptoms, there's pretty much a drug out there, but none of them are addressing the root cause. And all of this is happening because of this. That's the amount of sugar that's in a healthy person's blood. And your body's trying to do whatever it can to not increase this. Well, immediately we start thinking, well, I don't eat that much sweets and I don't drink that many sugary drinks. But that's not where it's coming from. Look at how we process the grain. We take a whole grain and we process it to pure white flour, removing all the antioxidants and fibers, more fibers and antioxidants, more nutrients, and we're left with pure starch. And starch are just chains of glucose put together. Now you take that rice, you process out the plant nutrients and the fiber, and now you're left with that delicious processed rice, which has the same effect on your blood as this many cubes of sugar. And this is why, if you're Indian like me, you may be eating rice, roti, and you're wondering, why is this making me sick when my ancestors have been eating this for thousands of years? Because they ate the sugar combined with the fiber. This creates bulk, it fills you up, it also controls the sugar from entering your bloodstream as quick. So your body has an easier time maintaining this. But if you remove all that fiber and you add all of this in your bloodstream, and you remove all the nutrients and vitamins and minerals, now you get hyperinsulinemia. The insulin stops working properly in your body's not using the energy properly, so you keep storing energy because your body's trying to do whatever it can to get rid of this. And when the insulin's high, your body's stuck in storage mode. So now your brain's not getting nutrients, you feel tired all the time, you feel hungry because your body still needs energy, but it can't use this. Your organs are supposed to look like this. Now they look like that, where the fat's storing around it. Your muscles start storing fat. And the whole reason was this high insulin. Insulin resistance is the most common disorder in the US, potentially affecting 9 out of 10 people.
Okay. So let's talk about some of the symptoms of insulin resistance.
Disorder in the US, potential where the fat storage mode. So now your brain's not getting nutrients, you feel tired all the time, you feel hungry because your body still needs energy, but it can't use this. Your organs are supposed to look like this. Now they look like that, where the fat's storing around it. Your muscles start storing fat. And the whole reason was this high insulin. Insulin resistance is the most common disorder in the US, potentially affecting 9 out of 10 people.
Okay, pause. All right. So symptoms of insulin resistance. This is very important, as the gentleman, his name is @Rav.Malik, and he is on Instagram, and he's very engaged in discussing insulin resistance because he, as he mentioned, it's not tested and it can be tested, but he learned that he had insulin resistance. And he is now educating as many people as possible about the symptoms of insulin resistance, and also how he was able to reverse insulin resistance by controlling his blood sugar level. As I mentioned earlier about the liver, I just sharing my personal experience, I did a Cena cleanse, and with that Cena cleanse, I noticed that my sugar cravings, the majority of my sugar cravings went away. So there's, some herbs are, that is the benefit of some herbs, is that they help to control your blood sugar level, and also help to cleanse your body and clean your intestines. So if we go back to the slide about insulin resistance, so again, skin tags, acne, belly fat. So if you know anyone that has a protruding belly, all of that fat is not going anywhere. And again, it becomes that person may have prediabetes, type 1 or type 2 diabetes, because the insulin hormone has nowhere to put the additional sugar from the food that's being consumed. So it's important to follow up. Again, make sure you're talking to your doctor. High triglycerides and or cholesterol, high blood sugar, and insulin resistance has been insulin resistance. Doctors are now saying that insulin resistance is linked to high blood pressure. So we'll get into that topic next week, the link between insulin resistance and high blood pressure. PCOS, which is, a lot of women have been diagnosed with PCOS, decreased testosterone, low muscle tone, fatty liver. That'll be another topic. There's non-alcoholic and alcoholic fatty liver. So we'll get into that in a different segment. Craving sweets, as they mentioned, hair loss, which is also linked to thyroid. Again, another segment. And then you can potentially also have low blood sugar. All right, so if we go to the next slide. All right, so there's a couple of other symptoms that I want to highlight that is not in that first slide, which is number 13, cysts. Right, 16, inflammation. 17, sleep apnea. It'll also affect your metabolism, loss of muscle mass. We mentioned acne, prediabetes, achy joints, belly fat, high cholesterol, number 8. Number 9, high blood pressure. You need to nap after a meal, frequent urination at night. And that's why it's important for us to get our sugar level under control. So we're going to go to, let me introduce Miss Erica Slayton.
So the first.
So I want to introduce Miss Erica Slayton. She will be joining us as part of the conversation for today's show. All right. So there's a couple of other symptoms that I want to highlight that is not in that first slide, which is number 13, 6. Right? Okay, 16, inflammation. 17, sleep apnea.
In fact, they don't even test for it.
There you are. Erica, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Good morning.
All right. Good morning. Good morning.
You just went out. Hold on 1 second for me.
Okay, I see you back on. All right. Okay, so it keeps freezing, but we'll work we'll work through that. So thank you, Erica, for joining us this morning. I know it's early, but if you don't mind, before we jump into continue the conversation on insulin resistance, if you want to just quickly introduce yourself to our audience.
Yes. Good morning, Boise Benafi, to everyone from the Garifuna diaspora here in far. I'm Erica Antoinette Castillo. I reside here in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm excited to be here today to join you as a guest for your amazing platform to share new and exciting information with our community as to how to really get in control of our bodies, which is an amazing machine and there's a science to it. So I just love the information that you're sharing and would love to be able to support you ongoing in any capacity that I can. So thank you for having me. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So, as we mentioned in the video and the slides, right? Insulin resistance has so many symptoms, and we are not aware of these symptoms. And in many cases, a lot of people who, go to their doctor, they get the lab work, and the lab work doesn't show, that doesn't show that they have any symptoms or any issues, right? They're their markers are within the range. But these symptoms, most of us have probably had them since we were young, right? We've all had acne, right? Not knowing that could have been our liver, or it's a signal or a trigger or our body telling us that, listen, I've reached my max, I've been overloaded. So what can I do to then pull back? So have you had any experience or engagement with some of those symptoms, if you don't mind me asking, or know of anyone, or have you engaged with anyone in the community and have seen how the food has impacted us, right, as a community?
Yes.
Especially when we travel, right? Some of the options we have are limited, and that can, again, become a trigger for insulin resistance, type 1, type 2 diabetes.
So let me first acknowledge the amazing guests that are joining you today and who will review this live feed at another time. The number one law of life is self-preservation, self-advocacy. And so for them to join your show to gather this new information to take care of themselves is just monumental. And that is a skill that we must teach each generation, that you must be in control of your mind, your body, your soul. And so I love this programming that you're having. So yes, I'm going to be personal and share with you that I actually have been insulin resistant. And I will tell you that I learned about this through my doctors many years ago. I'm 43. I don't look like it, but I am. And maybe about 15 years ago, I learned that through my yearly annual physical, and you do your labs at that time. And so my doctors did share that with me. And what I have done is I've really had to do a lot of work on ensuring. People will say, Erica, you don't look like you need to lose weight. And I tell people, no, I'm looking at my labs. I need my labs to be right. Because if my labs are not right, then I'm going to have a chronic situation that I don't have the capacity, time, or even the resources to take care of. So no, I don't need emergency. I'm trying to, to help to manage the insulin resistance. What else I was told by a was that if you're pre-diabetic, that means you are diabetic. The health industry is simply waiting for you to cross over into diabetic numbers so that you become a patient for life. Right. So they want your money. They want your, even though it might be pay for your medication, they are still making money from the insurance company. It's so by design. You ultimately have to be custodian of your body, the trustee of your body. You have to understand how this machine works. And so I commend both you and Francois for the work that you're doing to bring this knowledge to the community. And so the next steps are, now that you have the information, you have to unlearn and relearn what to do and what those actions look like each day to make the world a better place. And it starts with you being healthy so that you can actually be available for your friends, your family, your community, so you can continue to generate the revenue that you need to sustain your family, so you can continue to enjoy this amazing life because you're healthy. So we have to do the work each day, and no one's responsible but you. It's your body, it's your temple. You're responsible for your mental health, your physical health, and your own happiness. It belongs to you.
Agreed. Okay, well, thank you, Erica. So we're going to switch to a video that breaks down insulin resistance, right? Or what happens to the body, because the body is consistent of fat and energy, right? So we're going to show a clip that breaks that down for our audience so they understand what is happening internally in your body. And then we'll talk about fasting as one of the tools that you can use to control your insulin, right? So that you don't become or revert, you can start reversing some of those symptoms. So let's start that
Understand is
video.
that fat is a form of energy in your body. And your body has two energy sources, fat and carbs. And your hormones dictate which energy source you'll use. So how do you end up with all this energy on your belly, but you can't burn it? Glucagon and insulin are two hormones in your body that help with fat burning. When the glucagon is high, your insulin's low. They're like opposites, just like your bicep and your tricep. When your bicep's contracting, you cannot contract your tricep, and vice versa. So when this is high and this is low, you're burning fat. And when your glucagon's low and your insulin's high, you're burning carbs. So now let's say you finished dinner and your insulin levels went up. Now your glucagon levels went down, and remember what that means. You're now burning the carbs because you got to burn the dinner you just ate. However, every food has a different effect on your insulin and glucagon levels. For example, look at the effect of your insulin levels from carbs compared to protein and fat. So if you have a high carb dinner, like pasta or pizza or roti or a bunch of rice, your insulin levels would shoot up a lot higher compared to a meal that's rich in protein and fat and lower in carbs or more fibrous carbs. I like to call this rule FFP, fiber, fat, and protein. Well, now your insulin only spiked that high.
All right.
Let's say you finish your dinner at 7 p.m. At 8 p.m. you start fasting. By 12 o'clock your blood sugar is normalized. By 2 a.m. your insulin...
Okay. So again, that gentleman I follow on Instagram. His name is Ravdat Malik. And he was also diagnosed with insulin resistance. I was also diagnosed with insulin resistance. So I felt this was a good topic for us to, start this segment because, again, insulin resistance not only is linked in a symptom not just for diabetes, it's also linked to high cholesterol, high triglycerides, high blood pressure, which leads to heart disease, right? So if we don't get this under control, all of these diseases will then start to, become part of our daily lives, right? And then, as you mentioned, you have to learn to control it so that we can live and have a healthy life and be able to take care of our families. So one of the options, right, in terms of controlling our insulin is intermittent fasting. So before we jump into that, I just want to ask you, what were some of the steps or the tools that you use to control your insulin?
So, Melissa, I love what you just mentioned about the intermittent fasting. And, oftentimes when we think about fasting, we might think about, hey, this is something I'm doing for Lent. Mm-hmm. And we tie it to religious nature. But even in that moment of tying it to religious nature, this is a religious nature. Your body, it's spiritual. It is religious. We don't need to tie it to a church or entity, a religious entity, right? This is a spiritual movement of silencing your body and controlling it. And so I love the notion of intermittent fasting. I have used intermittent fasting and a lot of times when I need to just ground myself mentally. And you see that at the moment that you ground yourself mentally from a spiritual space, the body gets into alignment. And so that's really what we're doing when we do that. It is mind, body, and soul in that moment. So intermittent fasting, I've done intermittent fasting where I do not eat. I've done it plenty of times till I break my fast about 2 p.m. Okay. Now I might drink, but I'm not drinking anything solid. It might just be tea, and it's very limited in terms of the ingredients. But to be submit to my spirit, So I want my spirit to be in control of what's happening. And then at that time, the body is able to catch up because it takes energy to break the foods down. And so your body is able to heal. There's a lot of so I think at the same time, you're human to your will. So I love the effects of it as well. You feel less hungry. It's easier to do a cleanse when you control your eating and do the intermittent fasting as well. And so I think when you add that the cleansing, like you discussed earlier in the show, you're able to reduce the sugar cravings because that mucus is flushing out of the body. That's just, craving all of the sugars. And you're able to see the true benefits then of your body healing itself because it wants to heal itself. It wants the rest to heal. It wants the time to heal. And that's to your body the tools to do it.
Okay, so thank you all for your patience. We're having some audio issues, but we'll keep going. So intermittent fasting. So thank you for that, Erica. So intermittent fasting is when you intentionally stop eating for a period of time, allowing your body to heal and reset. As Erica mentioned, the body can heal and it can reset itself. It also supports liver detox. It allows the liver to focus on detoxification. So fasting is not about starving yourself. It's about healing from the inside out. So insulin resistance is about your hormone. It's not specifically about diet. However, your diet does play a crucial role in the sugar spikes, right? For that specific hormone. So there are a lot of different types of fasting, but for this, we're talking about intermittent fasting. There's water fast, there's juice fast, there's the dry fast, there's also raw food and intermittent fasting. So for this, it's intermittent fasting. So one example is eating, as Erica mentioned, you're eating within a small window. So my window for eating is between 11 a.m. and 7 p.m. or 12 p.m. and 8 p.m. But from this slide, this slide gives us a different example, right, of when to eat, when to stop eating, and what happens, right? So if we start with this looking at this slide starts with weight. So if you wait to eat on if you're waiting between 6 and 7 a.m. to eat, your cortisol level, which is another hormone, rises. From 8 to 9, your cortisol is at peak. So if you don't know anything about cortisol is the hormone that triggers whether you have stress, anxiety, panic attack, all of those emotions that you feel that may lead you to depression. So all of these are triggers in our body, and it's important that we understand how our body works, right? So that you become your own self-advocate, right? You are in tune and you are listening to your body so that you know what the triggers are and you know what you need to do to reset and reverse it. So from this slide, this slide says the optimal time for caffeine is between 10 and 11. From 10 to 12 is when you have the highest insulin sensitivity, right? So you really, so that is the time to eat between 10 and 12. I'm sorry, what does that say? I think that meant that is supposed to be 10 a.m. to 12 p.m., not 10 to 12 a.m. But you have the highest insulin sensitivity is between 10 and 12 p.m. Highest physical performance is from 2 to 5. So you want to exercise between 2 and 5 p.m., right? And it's best if you eat after you exercise. So if you need to consume something before, eat something small. But it's best to eat after so that, the the activity that you did will help to reduce that blood sugar level. The best times to and then just sorry, 5 to 6 is insulin sensitivity again. 6 to 7 is highest blood pressure. So be aware of that. Again, this is all just informational purposes. Please feel free to consult with your doctor and confirm this information. This is just for, your knowledge so that you take the right steps to work with your doctor to make sure that you're getting the best care. And then for the best times to stop eating is, again, 9 p.m., which is melatonin secretion. So melatonin affects your circadian rhythm, which is what helps you to sleep. So we've all seen melatonin, right, in the grocery stores. I personally don't use it. I know people use it to help them sleep after they've come back from vacation or have taken long flights. So Erica, just want to get your feedback and engagement there with how your sleep pattern as well, and if that's been impacted by insulin resistance, and what steps you may have also had to take to bring that back also in alignment to reset.
So let me tell you, I might be one of the few. I sleep like a baby every night. If anybody wants to harm me, come to my home at night because I'm in another world. I go into another world. But let me tell you, it does come from taking a lot of control for on you regarding your sleep patterns and habits. I do not watch TV. So it takes less time for my brain, my mind, my body and soul to decompress. And so when I get in my bed, my body is ready to go to sleep. Now I scroll through social media a little bit. I'm not going to lie. But my body is naturally ready to go to sleep. So I do have a regimen with, of course, I take a shower at night. I use Castile soap. I use Epsom salt when I take baths. So I'm actually just like a baby who's actually being, you're decompressing a baby at night. You have to decompress your body at night and get your mind, body, and soul to align and be on a rhythmic pattern. And so that helps because the sleep, oh my gosh, the body is trying to restore and heal.
It restores, yes.
It's a machine that needs energy to keep going. Everything in life is about energy. And so you need it. And so for me, I need minimum, I like 8 hours. If I can get 6.5, I'm great. But I will linger for 8. And it's just because when I have my 8, I have the energy to get through the day in an amazing way. You want to have a great attitude. You want to have great energy to be able to have the capacity to engage what you need to engage in a good spirit. And so you need to know your cocktail mix of what makes life work for you. So I would suggest, and I always tell everybody, Melissa and I are first cousins, very close. We do a lot this is a very special time of year for the two of us. Yearly, we do our during Lent, we have our, different things that we're sacrificing. And years ago, I came off of, watching TV, watching the news. And I would tell people the news is hurtful to the mind, body, and soul. Is the energy of it as well. So it kind of goes to the stress that you were talking about, Lisa, and the high blood pressure. And there's different ways we can get our news and, get information. And so, it's so much that plays into the sleep, into the rest. People ask, why are you always happy? I am, because I take care of myself. Go take care of yourself.
Absolutely. Health
but
really
it's
health
work
really
that
is
you have to do.
Yes. Health
It's
really
work that you have to do. And so what I charge people with is, our family members, mother, father, aunts, uncles, they've modeled for us the best of what they've known to model. I don't consider it to be good or bad, but we do have a social responsibility to ourselves to analyze the patterns and the habits and decide which of these patterns and habits we will continue and what patterns and habits we need to do away with so that we can take care of ourselves now that we have new information and we can leave an amazing legacy and do good modeling for the next generation. So I appreciate the programming that you have. I'm excited about what's to come as you build out your programming week over week to bring great content to our Garifuna diaspora. And then I charge our diaspora to use the information and make an impact for yourself and your family.
Well, thank you very much, Erica. I appreciate you joining today. being, first guest. And, I hope you're able to join the conversation later on as we add more topics. Again, I believe it's important for us as women to become part of the conversation. And in some cases, the forefront of the conversation, right? Life begins with us, right? So it's important that, we share our experience and our knowledge, what we are able to gain here in the U.S., that, our people in the Garifuna community in Belize, Honduras, Guatemala, Nicaragua, and also other parts of the Caribbean, whose diet and nutrition is completely
Yes.
different from ours, but is also in some cases a lot better than ours, right? So you have Trinidad and Tobago, they eat a lot of chana, which is chickpeas, which is high in fiber, right? So they have a lot of high fiber and potassium food that we do not eat because we don't have chickpea in Belize. So I appreciate you coming on. We'll continue the conversation. We'll invite more guests, and I would love for you to join us again in the future and help us engage in those conversations and other topics to come. So thanks again for joining, Erica.
Thank you for having me.
Okay.
Ayo.
Ayo. All right. So if we go back to the slide, so we're going to go back to the slide on intermittent fasting just to finish that out. And then we'll, move forward with the rest to finish out our program. Between 10 and 11 is, insulin resistance comes back again. So it's important that you are asleep at a certain time of the day, believe it or not. So I know I'm a woman of a certain age, but we've all been to the clubs. We've all gone to the clubs. We're all out at the club at 10 in the evening until 2, 3, 4 in the morning. But guess what? If you're looking at this slide, look at the impact that it's having on your body. I'm not saying don't go to the clubs. Just be aware of what is happening to your body or you are not allowing your body to heal when you are out at a certain time, right? So your insulin is going up because you're having alcohol. Alcohol contains a lot of sugar. So your insulin is spiking. You are, affecting your sleep. So just be aware. The point of this is to bring awareness to how your body function, so that you can implement the right foods, the right regimen, right? So that your body is working optimally for you and that you are aware of the signs. So self-care is so important. I can't stress that enough. The cortisol that causes the stress, it's killing us. Not just in the diaspora, just here in the U.S., but again, we'll get into those conversations. But stress is one of the biggest drivers of these diseases in our body, in addition to inflammation and some other things. So we're going to move on to the next slide. And
Let's say you finish your dinner at 7 p.m.
And then we will continue. To the end. And I have some supplements, some food choices that you can make that is at the grocery store, that you can pick up at the grocery store. I know it's not what you're used to, but guess what? It is so important that your body is able to consume and absorb the amount of minerals and vitamins that it needs. We are all deficient in some kind of mineral or vitamin that is needed for our body to heal.
Levels.
So I will introduce a couple of supplements, food items, fruit that we can and you can start buying at your grocery store, buy at your farmer's market. And then we can have a conversation about that as well.
8 p.m. you start fasting. By 12 o'clock, your blood sugar is normalized. By 2 a.m., your insulin levels drop. And by 4 a.m., your glucagon goes up. Now, this is if you had a healthy meal. If you had pasta and pizza and high carbs and alcohol, that's not going to happen. Now, when you wake up at 7 a.m., and you just started with a high carb breakfast like this, your insulin goes back up, glucagon goes back down, you don't really burn fat. And the hunger kicks in, you crave more food, and you end up eating even more calories. Now, if you just fast around 11 to 12, you got an extra 4 to 5 hours of fat burning. And if you control the dinner where it's FFP, your insulin levels will come down faster and your glucagon levels will go up faster. And the more fibrous your carbs, the lower the insulin spike. Now, if you follow the FFP rule with every meal, well, now you become a fat-burning machine.
All right. So a couple of food options, right? Because the goal of fasting as as an option is to give your digestive system a break. It allows your body to burn toxins, get rid of toxins, and regenerate cells. Your cells can regenerate. Your liver is the only organ that can heal itself, right? So we want to make sure that we're paying attention to that. You are removing waste, right? And that waste is the weight that helps to bring the weight down. So again, make sure you're contacting your physician or working with your physician so that you understand which fasting may work for you to help you control that, and what your doctor or your physician wants you to monitor if you decide to go down that path. So some of the foods that you can eat to fight insulin resistance: avocado, salmon, eggs, broccoli, blueberries, olive oil, but we'll get into it a little bit about olive oil. Olive oil should not be used, from my research, olive oil shouldn't be used for to cook with. Olive oil, as you can see, is used for a lot of dressing, right? So because it should not be burned at high heat, which is why you see olive oil used in a lot of dressing instead of it being used for food consumption. So broccoli, blueberries, olive oil, salmon, quinoa, lentils. Lentils is high in fiber and protein. Quinoa is high in fiber and protein. So these food options are helps to control your blood sugar level and will give you the proper nutrients that you need. So as Rav mentioned, fiber, fat, and protein. So if you eat in that order, right, there's a certain order that doctors also recommend that you eat. If you eat your fiber first, then your fat, then your protein, and your carb, if you have a carb on your plate, guess what? You're reducing the amount of, if you leave carb last, then you're limiting the amount of insulin, or your insulin spiking up too high. So if you have, for example, if we have rice and beans, chicken, and salad, right? Our usual meal, right? 1, 2, 3, rice and beans, chicken, and salad. We all mix what we eat, right? We mix what we eat. But if we eat the rice last, guess what? Our insulin level may not spike as much. If we eat the chicken first, that's your protein. And then the salad, because it's potato, it's still a carb. So you may want to eat the carb and the potato salad and the rice and beans last. But like I said, when we eat, we add the rice and beans, then we put the potato salad on top, and then we eat the chicken. Just know that all of that is impacting your insulin level. What is the best way to bring your insulin level down? After consuming rice and beans, go take a walk. Go out for a 10, 15-minute walk. Guess what? That helps you to bring down and regulate your blood sugar level after a meal. There's also certain exercises that you can do I'll introduce that next week. And you can actually do them right at the dinner table. You can do them in your bed. You can do them on the sofa. All of these exercises will help you to regulate your blood sugar level. All right, so we're going to go to the next slide. So this is a nutritional guide. So I follow Dr. Sebi, Dr. Sebi's nutritional guide. And Dr. Sebi, this is my base. So whatever I eat, this is the base of what I eat. And I follow a 80-20 rule. So I eat this 80% of the time, and the other 20% is if I go out to a restaurant and eat, or, if we're out at a fair or a festival, I'm aware of how my body works, right? When the melatonin is circadian, when it's high sensitivity, high insulin sensitivity. I'm aware of all of that. So I'm very much in tune with what I eat when I go out. If all week I've been eating, the fiber, fat, protein, right? When I go out on Saturday, I'm being honest, and I go out, I might have more carbs than usual because guess what? I didn't have a lot of carbs earlier that week. So I can eat, if I go to a Belizean event, I can eat that rice and beans, chicken and salad because I didn't really eat high carb diet or high carb foods that week. So that gives me, a little bit of a cheat day, if you will, to be able to still consume some of the food. I'm not going to, stop eating the food that I'm used to eating as a child or into my adulthood. But I know when to eat those foods, right? So that it works for my body in a way where I'm able to still take control. So this nutritional guide is very, very helpful because one, Dr. Sebi, his nutritional guide focuses on foods that reduce inflammation in the body, gives you all of the nutrient and vitamin that your body needs, and also helps you to reverse some of the diseases in our body. So if you look at the list of fruits and vegetables, I'm not going to go through them, but there's also nuts, seeds, grains, teas, oils, spices. So nuts and seeds that are good for you: hemp seed, sesame seed, tahini butter, walnut, Brazil nuts. Hemp seeds are high in omega-3 fatty acid. Omega-3 fatty acid is very important if you have heart disease, if you have diabetes, also insulin, any of these diseases. Our body needs omega-3 fatty acid. So some people consume it from by taking supplements, but you can get it from naturally from food. So hemp seed is good. Sesame seed is high in vitamin C. Tahini butter is actually sesame seed, right? It's just churned into butter. Walnuts, good for high blood pressure and for your heart. Brazil nuts, it's good for your thyroid. I eat 3 Brazil nuts a day because it has the amount of selenium. And there's a component in Brazil nut that helps to heal the thyroid. So Brazil nuts is really, really good to eat on a daily basis. No more than 3 to 4, if I recall correctly, that I heard from a doctor. Grains: amaranth, fonio, kamut, quinoa, rye, spelt, teff. Teff flour is the flour that's used by our Africans. So if you've had African food and you've had injera bread, guess what? It's teff flour that they use to make injera bread. Teas: burdock, chamomile, elderberry, fennel, ginger, raspberry, and tilla. I do elderberry. Elderberry is great for your immune system. Burdock cleans the blood. Fever grass is also very good, right? But burdock is high in iron. It's also a good appetite suppressant, I believe. So these are really good teas that you can drink on a daily basis. Oils. Again, coconut oil is good for you. No heat. But we use heat in coconut oil, so take it with a grain of salt. Olive oil, avocado oil. I've switched to avocado oil. I no longer cook with vegetable oil, canola oil. Those oils are filled with trans fat, and that is the root cause of the insulin resistance, the type 1, type 2 diabetes. So if you can cut out those oils or switch to avocado oil, you can also switch to grapeseed oil, sesame seed oil, or hemp seed oil. But I use avocado to cook, and olive oil is used, for dressing. Spices, bay leaf, basil, cloves, dill, oregano, savory, sweet basil, tarragon, thyme. These are all anti-inflammatory, filled with nutrients that will fill your body up with what it needs. Sea salt, replace the iodized table salt with sea salt or Celtic salt. That iodized salt is stripping our body. So switch to sea salt, powdered seaweed. So seaweed, nori, dulse, kelp. Those are sea minerals. We've all seen them, right? You walk down the beach, you find seaweed, right? And some of these seaweeds are packed with minerals and nutrients that our body needs. So those are really good to consume. So I sprinkle that on I sprinkle dulse. I use dulse and what is the other seaweed? I do seaweed, and I do the regular seaweed, and I do dulse, and I put dulse on my salad. I add seaweed to my salad. If I'm eating soup, I'll put some seaweed in there because it's full of iodine, and our thyroid and our body needs iodine to function. Iodine is the source of our energy. So if you're feeling low on energy, your iodine might also be an issue. And then sweet, date sugar, coconut sugar, maple sugar. Those are your best options. The regular white sugar, again, that is becoming a part of the issue why we have type 2 diabetes. Now, you can buy white sugar, but make sure it says vegan on it because sugar is made from bone char, believe it or not. So sugar isn't just a clean ingredient. Some sugars are made from bone char. That's right. So date sugar doesn't really have a lot of taste. You can't really taste it, but maple syrup, I think we've all had maple syrup, coconut sugar. It's just retraining your body and your mindset to use healthier ingredients. And I'll introduce pitted dates, which is actually very, very good. And I consume that. And it actually, pitted dates or dates in general actually helps to control your blood sugar. All right, so we're going to move on to, I believe, what brings us to the end of, almost to the end of our slides here. So
you want to know what
mucus.
You can eat? You can eat.
So most of the foods that we eat causes mucus in the body, and that mucus causes inflammation. So what are the foods that we consume that we really need to cut out? Fast food, processed food, cheese, dairy, even meats, right? These are ingredients that are causing or contributing to insulin resistance that's causing diabetes. So if that is your taste bud, that's your taste bud. But everything in moderation, reduce your consumption, or if you can cut these out and find better alternatives or eat them, once in a while, that will be better for your health. Again, meat consumption, the cheese, processed meat, because they have fillers in it. These ingredients, they are on the shelves for a reason. The U.S. is 70% about consumer driven. So it's by design for us to go out and work, make money, pay our bills, and go out to the grocery stores and consume all the stuff that they are able to package and ship to these grocery stores. And they're filled with synthetic sugars that makes that hits your palate and makes you want more and more and more. But it's time for us to take back our health. All right, so we're gonna move on to the last. The last is a video. If you've heard of Maccabee, everybody should know who Maccabee is. But Maccabee, if you don't follow him on Instagram, YouTube. I follow him on YouTube. He does Medical Mondays. He also does some recipes as well. And he talks about ground food, which we need to get back to ground foods that are very, very healthy for us that we should be consuming on a daily basis to make sure we're getting all the vitamins, nutrients, and minerals to keep these diseases at bay.
You wanna know what you can eat? You can eat callaloo, aki, sweet potato, yam, banana, and tomato, cabbage, spinach, avocado, chocho, butter, bean, and cocoa, courgette, millet, plantain, rice and peas and pumpkin, mango, dates and guava, chickpeas and cassava, Brussels sprouts and cauliflower, onion, fennel and cucumber, plum, pear and papaya, aubergine and saya, lime, lentils and quinoa, wholemeal bread and wholemeal flour, watercress and okra, tofu and sweet pepper, couscous and carrot, broccoli and coconut, peaches, apples, apricot, breadfruit, jackfruit, sour, pistachios, cashews and almond, walnut, peanuts, also bacon, sesame seeds, sunflower, lemon, orange, pineapple and melon, bogo wheat and garlic, hijiki and rocket, pacho and pomegranate, kiwi, corn and turnip, berries, cherries and strawberries, beetroot, grapefruit and celeries. You see the meat not necessary.
All right, so thank you, Maccabee. So the some of the foods I want to introduce. Here is lentil. Lentil was mentioned in one of the slides. So here is lentil. Lentil is
watercress and okra, tofu and sweet pepper.
Lentil is packed with protein and fiber. So when you go to the grocery store, please start reading the labels. I can't stress that enough because on the bottom, just after protein, it shows you the vitamins and minerals that each of these ingredients provide. So for lentils, there's 0 vitamin D, but there's 10 milligrams of calcium. There's 3.2 milligrams of iron and 350 milligrams of protein and 350 milligrams of potassium and 10 grams of protein. So Mr. Malik mentioned fiber, fat, and protein. This contains, some of those ingredients. So lentil is really good. Quinoa, this is what quinoa looks like. If you've never seen quinoa, this is what quinoa looks like. And quinoa, similar, 240 milligrams of potassium, 1.9 milligrams of iron. Our body needs iron. Our blood needs iron. And then this has 6 grams of protein. This has 3 grams of fiber. The lentil has 10 grams of fiber. So these are foods that he's talking about that we need to incorporate. Look at the back of your red beans, the red kidney beans. It'll tell you how much protein and fiber you're getting from the red kidney beans. So you can continue to consume that. So this is dulse. It's a sea vegetable, as I mentioned. I bought this from Amazon, but it's packed with vitamin B6. It's a good source of iron, vitamin B12. So if you're low energy, you're probably low on vitamin B12. Excellent source of iodine. Again, iodine is good for your body. So you want to make sure that, again, we need to start making sure that we are buying products that we can consume that will give us the minerals, vitamins and nutrients that our body needs. And all right, so let's go to the flour. So here is teff flour. So this is what teff flour looks like. You can see it's like dark in color, but teff flour, 170 milligram in potassium, 2 milligrams of iron. This contains calcium, 63 milligrams, 4 grams of protein, 2 grams of fiber. So if you can, you can find a lot of recipes to try and incorporate some of these foods, and these are good swaps. So if you want to, if you can't get rid of, if you don't want to stop using white flour, maybe add a little bit of teff, right? So that you're absorbing some of the nutrients from this in your food. So I do that a lot. Spelt flour, which I don't have here, but spelt is gluten, but it's a good alternative. It's one of the best alternatives to regular white flour. So I'll take spelt and I'll add like a little bit of the teff flour. Again, you have to experiment to get the right consistency that you're looking for, but you want to make sure that your body is, you're not just eating food just to eat it, that you're getting the right nutrients. So that's teff. There's also amaranth. This is amaranth flour. Amaranth flour. Amaranth is callaloo. I believe it's callaloo. So this is actually callaloo in flour form. So callaloo has a lot of really good proteins and minerals. I add callaloo to my food on a weekly basis as well. Again, potassium, iron, protein, 10 grams. This is high in fiber, 10 grams of fiber. So that's amaranth. If you still eat spaghetti, kamut is a really good option. I have this in here because this is the only one I have, and I started eating it. Kamut, again, these might be a little bit expensive, but it's worth it if you're trying to live, like literally just trying to live and focus on self-care. So this is really good fiber, good protein, no salt added. Nuts. So we have walnuts. Everyone's heard of walnuts. Good for your heart. Again, some of these help to help with your blood sugar control, cholesterol, blood pressure, and your heart health. This is good for heart health. Brazil nuts, as I mentioned before. Brazil nuts, this is what it looks like. I eat 3 to 4 of these a day to, help support my thyroid. 190 milligrams of potassium, iron, calcium, 2 grams of fiber. So that's that. And then, as I mentioned before, hemp seed, flaxseed. I sprinkle these on everything. If I was eating rice and beans right now, I would sprinkle both of these on there. So I get my omega-3 fatty acid. If I'm eating salad, I put this on my salad. I put this on my breakfast. I put this on my fruits. I put this in my smoothies, on the top of my smoothies. So the goal is just to get some of these nutrients into your body so that you're absorbing it and it's working for your health. Another good rice to buy is, you can't really see this because I have it in a bag. Let me take it out. This is called farro rice. I purchased this at Trader Joe's. This is farro rice. So farro rice is really, really good also. Same thing, iron, potassium, calcium, fiber, protein, high in protein as well. I want to introduce dates. Dates, this is a really, really good sugar alternative. Very, very good sugar alternative. And this also actually helps to control your blood sugar level, believe it or not, and it's something sweet. So 260 milligram of potassium, 3 grams of fiber. It has 25 grams of sugar. That's because it's naturally sweet. So you want to, watch your consumption, maybe 4 to 5. So what I do is I put my walnuts, cashew, I open a pitted dates. Let me show you. I open one of these dates and I put a walnut and a cashew in there and I eat it. That's my snack. So good. So good. That's my snack. All right. Banana. I have bananas. These are baby bananas. These are the original bananas. These are original baby bananas. All right. The big ones that we consume, well, they're here in the U.S. for consumption, right? But if you want to eat something that's more natural, high nutrients, when you go to a farmer's market, look for baby bananas. These are manzanos. But these are what originally bananas are supposed to, bananas look like, not the large ones that we eat. And then berries. Berries are good to eat every single day. I add this to my breakfast. So this is strawberry and blueberries. These are really good if you have heart health issues, insulin resistance, diabetes. These are good to consume on a daily basis. And then I just want to quickly talk about some vitamins that I take. Again, consult with your doctor. Berberine. All right, berberine is really good. Well, this one that I have, Ceylon cinnamon. It contains Ceylon cinnamon, turmeric, miltithistle, plus bitter melon. These all help to manage and control your blood sugar level. So I found this on Amazon, and I found this to be very helpful. There are people who take metformin, I believe, who have, and again, I'm just sharing what I've heard. This has helped them to come off of their med, where they're able to take this with the change in diet, nutrition, exercise, and working with their doctor, they've been able to use this as an alternative. So just sharing. Consult your doctor. Make sure you're taking vitamins, but vitamins should be methylated. Make sure you're taking methylated vitamins. Magnesium, I take magnesium glycinate at night. Go to camera 2, please. Magnesium glycinate at night. This helps to relax your body, your muscles, and is good for regulating your heart. So this is good to take every single night, magnesium glycinate. There are other magnesiums available, magnesium taurate. If you're low in energy, take magnesium taurate, but this is really good to consume at night. Vitamin D is very important for us to take. Natural vitamin D, you get out in the sun, right? So you want the sun to hit your eyes. That's where your largest source of vitamin D comes from, is when the sun hits your eye. So don't put your sunglasses on right away, right? Wait another maybe 5 minutes if you can wait that long before you put your sunglasses on, but you want your body to absorb natural vitamin D through your eyes first. And if you're not able to consume it, because if you don't live in a state where there's a lot of sun, taking a supplement is best. But vitamin D is also known to help fight cancer. And people who, when we were in COVID, one of the supplements what was recommended is that you go out, you get some sun in your body, or take vitamin D. So this is very important to help. Also, vitamin D is good to help fight cancer. Again, this is magnesium. This is a complex that includes almost all of the different magnesiums. You can also absorb magnesium on your skin as a lotion. So this is a lotion that I actually purchased on Amazon, and it's actually really good. So Erica also mentioned Epsom salt bath, but you can buy magnesium salt. And I usually find some of this stuff at TJ Maxx and Marshall's, Home Goods, Ross as well. You can find Epsom salt or magnesium salt there, or you can buy it at any grocery store. And take a bath. Take a magnesium bath. Absorb all that magnesium into your body. All right, so that concludes our show for today. I went over because I wanted to make sure that I get as much information in as possible, but moving forward, the show will be reduced to 45 to an hour and then 45 minutes. And I just want to say thank you all for tuning in to today's segment of A Healthy Corner. I hope you found the information useful. And again, if you know anyone, a nurse, doctor, a practitioner, holistic, or someone in naturopathy who can join and help us to educate our community so that we make better lifestyle choices, not only for ourselves, but for our children, our children's children in the future, please reach out to Garivision or myself, so that we can have you on as a guest. This is an opportunity for women to also have a voice in this space, in our community. so that we can do our best to, highlight some of the issues, but also know that there are solutions and things that we can do to help people and ourselves in our community live better lives. So thank you to Garivision for his support and his suggestion to launch a Healthy Corner on Saturdays. We will have other topics. We'll talk about run-in, mental health, cortisol, as I mentioned, your thyroid, your liver. It's all connected. So next week we'll talk about high blood pressure and how that impacts, how that can that affects heart health. So we'll talk about that next week. If there are any topics that you would like to see on this show, please write it in the comments, or again, message Garivision directly, and we'll get that on the agenda for the show. Again, thank you all for joining. Looking forward to more engagement with you in the community. We're here to support each other on this journey. So we hope that you tune in again. Thank you all for joining.
Welcome to Healthy Corner with Melissa Rochez, where we discuss a healthy lifestyle through exercise, a healthy lifestyle through diet, through meditation and wellness. Healthy Corner.
All right, thank you all again for joining.
And how you even feel learn a bit higher, sweet of now what excellent energy. Listen, now one day, for example, or a bunch of your glucagon goal, just start end up eating urines. Now you
Broccoli and coconut and rocket.
Sarawak, Garinagu, Sarawak. Sarawak, Garinagu, Sarawak. Sarawak, Garinagu, Sarawak. Sarawak, Garinagu, Sarawak. Millennium 2000 is upon us. Still we sit around with a fuss. Arise, indigenous people. Sarawak, Garinagu, Sarawak. Sarawak, Lidag, Yewenedu. Sarawak, Garinagu, Sarawak. Chilug, Hada, Niduhayu. The time is now, Garinagu. Sarawak, Garinagu, Sarawak. Wake up, Garinagu, Sarawak. Wake up, Sarawak.